devastating natural disaster that struck Oklahoma just days ago on April 19th and 20th, 2025. A series of catastrophic floods that claimed lives, displaced families, and left communities grappling with destruction. These floods, triggered by severe thunderstorms and relentless rainfall, have been described as a historical weather event by local authorities, and their impact underscores the growing intensity of weather-related disasters in our region. Let's start with what happened. Over the Easter holiday weekend, a powerful storm system swept across Oklahoma, bringing torrential rain, flash flooding, and even tornadoes. In places like Wewoka, Moore, and Bixby, water levels rose to unprecedented heights, overwhelming roads, homes, and infrastructure. The National Weather Service reported that water levels were significantly higher than we've seen in recent years, with some areas experiencing what meteorologists called a once-in-a-generation flooding event. Tragically, at least 5 people lost their lives. Near Leonard, about 25 miles southeast of Tulsa, a 47-year-old woman and her 7-year-old daughter were swept away by floodwaters after their SUV was caught in rushing water. In Moore, a 12-year-old boy and his mother perished when their vehicle was washed into a creek and wedged against a drainage pipe. Another death was reported in Spalding, linked to a tornado that accompanied the storms. These stories are heartbreaking, and they remind us of the sudden and merciless power of nature. The scale of the flooding was staggering. In Moore, just south of Oklahoma City, police responded to dozens of high-water incidents, with vehicles stranded or swept away. The Bixby Fire Department conducted rescues after families were trapped by rapidly rising waters. Across Tulsa County, emergency crews worked tirelessly, recovering bodies and assisting residents. The storms didn't just bring rain, they unleashed hail, lightning, and tornadoes, compounding the chaos. In Ada, debris littered the ground, with broken sheds and power poles testifying to the storm's ferocity. Power outages affected tens of thousands at the storm's peak, and flooded roads made travel nearly impossible. The Weather Channel reported that the flooding was part of a broader weather event impacting Texas and Missouri as well, but Oklahoma bore some of the heaviest losses. Why was this event so severe? The answer lies in a combination of meteorological factors and Oklahoma's vulnerability to extreme weather. The storms were fueled by a slow-moving system that dumped inches of rain in a short period, saturating the ground and overwhelming drainage systems. The National Weather Service described the rainfall as life-threatening, with some areas receiving up to 6 inches or more. This kind of intense, localized rainfall is becoming more common, partly due to climate patterns that favor warmer, moisture-laden air masses. Unlike hurricanes, which typically affect coastal regions, these inland floods were driven by thunderstorms, but their impact was no less devastating. Oklahoma's geography, with its rivers like the Arkansas, Washita, and Cimarron, makes it prone to flash flooding when heavy rain falls on already saturated soil. In fact, historical data from the NOAA shows that Oklahoma has experienced $115 billion weather disasters since 1980, including 6 flooding events alongside droughts, storms, and wildfires. To put this in perspective, let's look at Oklahoma's history with floods. Back in October 1986, a similar convergence of weather systems, moisture from Hurricane Payne, a stationary frontal system, and a strong jet stream caused record-breaking floods across north-central and northeast Oklahoma. That event set new high water marks for rivers like the Arkansas and Verdigris, evacuating 30,000 people and destroying over 500 homes. The April 1934 Hammond flood during the Dust Bowl era killed 17 people along the Washita River after 6 to 14 inches of rain fell in a single night. These historical floods led to significant infrastructure improvements, like the construction of over 2,100 small watershed dams in Oklahoma, starting with the Cloud Creek Dam in 1948. Yet despite these efforts, the 2025 floods show that the state remains vulnerable to extreme weather, especially as climate patterns shift. The human toll of the 2025 floods is impossible to overstate. Beyond the tragic loss of life, thousands of residents faced property damage, power outages, and disrupted lives. In Moore, police described the scene as chaotic, with first responders working around the clock. In Tulsa County, the sheriff's office coordinated searches for missing individuals, while communities like Wauwatosa saw homes and businesses inundated. The economic impact is still being assessed, but with Oklahoma's history of billion-dollar disasters, 115 events since 1980, averaging 6 per year in the last 5 years, it's likely that damages will climb into the hundreds of millions, if not more. Agricultural losses, infrastructure repairs, and recovery efforts will place a heavy burden on local and state resources. What makes this event particularly alarming is its timing. The floods came just months after other billion-dollar disasters in 2024, including Hurricanes Helene and Milton, which devastated parts of the Southeast. While Oklahoma's floods weren't directly tied to a hurricane, the broader context of an active 2024 weather year, $27 billion disasters nationwide, the second highest on record, suggests that extreme weather is becoming more frequent and intense. Forecasters are already warning that the 2025 Atlantic hurricane season, starting June 1st, could be above average, with warmer than normal sea surface temperatures fueling stronger storms. Oklahoma, while inland, often feels the ripple effects of such patterns through increased moisture and storm activity. So, what can be done? First, preparation is key. Oklahoma's flood control infrastructure, built after disasters like the 1934 and 1986 floods, has saved countless lives and properties, but aging levees and dams need ongoing maintenance. The USGS Oklahoma-Texas Water Science Center is developing flood early warning systems with elevated stream gauges and redundant monitoring, which could provide critical lead time for evacuations. Residents can protect themselves by checking flood maps, securing flood insurance — most home policies don't cover flood damage — and planning evacuation routes. The American Red Cross emphasizes simple steps. Avoid driving through flooded roads, as just 2 feet of water can sweep away a car, and head for higher ground when warnings are issued. Second, we need to address the bigger picture. Climate models suggest that warmer temperatures are increasing the atmosphere's capacity to hold moisture, leading to heavier, more frequent downpours. Oklahoma's $115 billion disasters since 1980 are a stark reminder that no state is immune. Investing in resilient infrastructure, updating floodplain management policies, and supporting community preparedness programs are essential steps. Organizations like the Oklahoma Floodplain Managers Association are already promoting sound practices, but more funding and